I'm Brian Judd. I'm the current Vice President of Kentucky Wounded Heroes, coming to you from Drake's on the Kenai in Soldotna, Alaska. Got involved with Kentucky Wounded Heroes in 2019 when Chuck Reed, the director, contacted me about a trip to Alaska fishing. He asked me what my story was. He had heard that I had been injured in the line of duty. I'm a current Kentucky State Trooper. And in 2003, I was working a crash on I-75, and a car struck my cruiser as I was getting out. Caused me to have some pretty severe injuries. Had to have a couple back surgeries before I could come back to duty. So Chuck asked me about this trip, and I told him that I wasn't in as bad a shape as some other guys that had been in the military and was trying to decline. And he let me know that his group was for police officers, fire, EMS, and military, and he thought it would be a good thing for me. So came to Alaska, met some great guys, got to talk about a lot of things that had never come out about me with my history, and was able to heal a lot of wounds that I didn't even know I had. Made some friends on that trip that I will have for the rest of my life. Some of them I talk to daily, and others I talk to at least weekly. We keep up with everybody pretty well. So fast forward a couple years, about a year, COVID had hit. Things were starting to kind of slow down, and Chuck asked me to go on another trip, hunting trip. So I went on the hunting trip with some guys. And then went on a fishing trip a few months later. Told him that I would be a lot more interested in helping out as a staff than I would be going on a trip to fish or hunt. So at that point we talked, and he brought me on staff, went out and helped out with a couple things. Then later on he asked me to come on as the Vice President of the organization, where I've served for the last couple years. With my future, I'm still currently working. Retirement is coming up pretty quick. Not sure how many more years I'm going to work, but I'm going to continue to work with Kentucky Wounded Heroes as long as I'm available and try to make the difference in other people that this organization has had on me. Yeah, this organization, one thing that I really, really liked about the organization when I got involved is that none of the staff take any money for anything. Everything that we do is strictly voluntary. Every bit of the dollars that we receive, we spend on the guys and gals that are part of our organization, whether that be the travel, the lodging, the excursions that we do on some of these trips, paying for the boat captains, and if we're hunting and we have to buy a guide, pay for a guide, which usually, honestly, we don't, because a lot of people volunteer their time to guide us on our trips. And all the money that we raise, we spend on the organization. And that's a big thing that I liked, because a few other organizations that I had been a part of, the presidents or the staff members, they got a cut of the money, or the people who raised the money for us got a bigger cut than we got of the money. So with this organization, every bit of the money raised goes to the people. So we post a lot of things on our Facebook page and on our website. It's KentuckyWoundedHeroes.net. Our Facebook page can be found under Kentucky Wounded Heroes. Our Instagram page is at Kentucky Wounded Heroes, and our YouTube channel is Kentucky Wounded Heroes. All this is linked off of our website. We're very transparent about all of our trips, the things that we're doing on there. We want our donors to see where their money goes.
Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting. Welcome, everybody, to a Monday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. Tonight, I am joined with a special guest. My beautiful wife has decided to join me on the podcast, and we're going to talk about an organization which you saw in the video there at the beginning. Kentucky Wounded Heroes. I'm from Kentucky, and it was just befitting that we would bring in an organization from Kentucky and talk about them. So I'm super excited to learn about the organization. My buddy Sam Deeds, which he's been on the podcast a time or two, he's involved with the organization. And so we're going to bring Sam up, and then we're going to bring Mr. Brian Judd up. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you guys?
Good evening.
Doing well.
I don't know if you started this off with that video. Hopefully, my speaking's a little bit better tonight. I must have been about ready for bed when they taped that.
I thought it was a really good video.
I thought it was a good video too. It actually goes a little bit longer, but I had to trim it down just a little bit. I probably should have trimmed it down a little bit more, but oh well, it is what it is. It's a good video to start the episode with. And so, Sam, how was your week and your weekend? Did it slow down? Have you slowed down yet?
No, not at all, man. It's just going to get busier as the year goes on. Planning a trip to Iwakuni, Japan that just came through last week. So going over with the skydive team. We got a couple performances over there, a practice and a performance for the base for Friendship Day. And then, of course, everything we got going on with Kentucky Heroes. Brian and I have been working, man, it seems like nonstop. We got a trip to New Jersey coming up with a different organization that they've asked me to get some guys and girls for. We're taking 10 folks up to do some shark fishing.
Heck yeah.
You know, oh yeah, hopefully the weather holds out well for us. So trip to New Jersey here, I guess the weekend after Memorial Weekend. And, you know, we got some other stuff coming up too that Brian will talk about.
Awesome. Brian, welcome to the show. I don't know if you've seen our podcast or heard Deeds talk about it, but welcome to the show. Can you tell everybody who you are and a little bit of your background?
Oh, yeah. I'm Brian Judd, obviously. I am a trooper with Kentucky State Police. I've been there for 25 long years. It's pretty good. Been a pretty good job. Unfortunately, during that is why I'm part of this organization. I got hit by a car back in 2003. Had to have a couple back surgeries, and finally had to have my spine fused to kind of put me off the road. And they stuck me in an office. It's kind of funny how things happen for a reason. The worst job I ever had turned into one of the best jobs I've ever had. And so now that's why I'm not retiring, is because I love my job so much. I just keep going to work every day.
Right.
It's kind of weird. I grew up my grandfather was in World War II. My dad got drafted to Vietnam, got sent home before the war, before he got shipped over. And so my plans were to go ahead and join the Marine Corps, actually. And my grandpa came down. He says, "Well, asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up." And I thought I was grown up. And he said, I said, "I want to be a trooper." And he said, "Son, can't you go to college and do that?" And kind of steered me away from the military because of the things that he had been through. And ended up going through, was in a shooting early on in my career. Kind of been around. I'm not, it's not poor me, but I've been through a lot of things that other guys haven't ever been through. And during all this, and I'm saying this now because that'll end up, you'll figure out why I'm saying all this now. But then when I was off with my first back surgery, my mom happened to work at a bank, and I may not have even shared this with Sam yet, but my mom worked at a bank, and my mom and dad got taken hostage from their house after work and taken back to the bank, and the bank was robbed. But while they were, and this was while I was off after I'd had my back surgery, but while they had my mom with a gun to her head, I called her because I had some things going on that I needed to talk to her about. And I never worked through any of that stuff until later on in life. Didn't think any of this stuff bothered me at all. So I ended up, when Chuck called don't even know who signed me up for this organization. I'm assuming it was Chuck, because Chuck, our president, was a trooper as well, and he knew that I'd been hurting a lot of duty. So he brings me on this trip, and there's a lot of military guys going when he starts talking to me about the trip, and I'm like, man, that's not for me. You need to find some guys that have been blown up or whatever that deserve this, man. I'm good. I go to work every day, kind of one of those things. And he twisted my arm, got me on the trip, and I met an Army guy that had been through a lot more than I'd been through, and just kind of one evening, he goes, "Hey, man, there was another trooper there with us that had been shot." So he thought I'd been shot, and he says, "Hey, man, how are you after your shooting?" And I was like, "Man, I was in a shooting, but I'm good." I said, "I got hit by a car on the interstate." And he goes, "Well, you got PTSD?" And I'm like, "No." And then he starts asking me every question that he can ask me. And at the end, he just puts his big old hand on my back, pats on me, and he's like, "I hate to tell you, bub, but you got PTSD."
Yeah.
And so that began a process of fixing a problem that I never knew I had through this group of guys. And that's how I became such good friends with Sam and all these guys. I mean, start talking about this stuff and realize that even though I haven't been in the military, we've been through a lot of the same kind of stuff.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize that troopers, any first responder, they have their own form of PTS, and it's still even still it's a brotherhood, just like the Marine Corps, the Army. It's still a brotherhood, and you guys deal with a lot of different things that we don't deal with. Now, granted, you have your shootouts and stuff, and you have people shooting at you sometimes, not always.
Right.
But the moral of that story, though, is we all do it differently, and we all, do it. I'm trying to think the right words. We all face it differently, and
yes,
I'm glad that you got hooked up with an organization that don't just focus strictly on veterans, but also first responders, and that's pretty amazing. So,
Well,
and we may be. Oh, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, first responders, whether it's a police or EMT or firefighters, they see trauma on a more regular basis than the guys in the military do.
Or dispatch.
Right? Yeah, I mean, even the dispatch having to hear it.
Yes.
Right. Even though they're not seeing it, that's still they get that mental picture painted of what's going on, and they're hearing it firsthand, and they have to relay it to guys like Brian. So, I mean, the trauma may be a little bit different than what we experience as the military guys, but sometimes it's even more severe because you got a kid that got ejected from the car that was in the accident, or you have, unfortunately, a decapitation of a motorcycle rider, that hit a culvert or something, or a guardrail. That's a different type of trauma than me getting blown up, or seeing one of my guys shot, or one of my guys blown up. So it's the trauma is different, but the way that it affects your squash, the way that it affects your mind, is still the same as me getting blown up and it affected me, right? So it's it's not that the trauma is any less severe for the person. It's just how your brain reacts to it, because we see things that the normal person doesn't see on a regular basis.
Right.
And one of the bad things for us is it wasn't accepted up until the last 5 or 6 years. It was an accepted thing. Man, just suck it up, Not that that's what was said, but that was kind of the mentality.
The implication,
you just go do your job.
Figure it out.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And you just figure it out, rock on, do your job. Because believe it or not, there's another call coming next. So you just got to kind of go do your thing and roll on. So that was I ended up joining them because of a back injury, and ended up staying because of the other stuff, because I never knew there was anybody out there that did this kind of thing. And I think we if we are not, I'm pretty sure there's other ones in Kentucky now that are trying to do what we do, sort of, but I don't know of any other organization in the nation that does what we do with military and first responders and and try to get them all together at the same time and do things.
Yeah, I mean there's quite a few organizations out there that focuses on first responders and veterans, but at the scale of what you guys are doing with the trips that you're doing, and
I think they separate them.
I don't know. I don't know if they do or not. I know Relief for Heroes, which is Sean. He doesn't separate, but he's not on the scale of you guys. What you guys do. I've talked to a few organizations. There's one down in Florida, Hero Strong. You might want to look into that organization. They are.
I will.
It's called Hero Strong. They focus on military, first responders, teachers, doctors and nurses, and there was one more they focus on as well, man. And they do all kinds of things with vet, with anybody that's in what they consider the hero rim, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, what you guys do when it comes to like the fishing trips that you do, like we go to Alaska or you're going to go shark fishing. Now I got a question about shark fishing. Now, is that catch and release? Is that catch and release, or is that catch and keep?
It depends on the shark. So there's a brown shark in the New England, New Jersey, that area. But there's two different species of the brown shark, and they look very, very similar. The only way to tell them apart is by their internal organs. One of them is very good to eat. One of them is a trash fish. I can't say trash. It's still good, but it's not as good as the other one.
Right.
And there's a ban on that shark because it was overfished. So those are catch and release. But if you catch a mako or a thresher or a tiger shark and you can actually get it into your boat, you keep it, and then that meat gets divided by all the guys and girls that are going to be there fishing. So it's a good time. I ended up catching 2 years ago when I went. I caught 3 shark myself, and they were all released. We had a nice thresher on the line, and don't know what happened. I passed the rod off to somebody else, and that one got away. But it was a clean cut, so we don't know if the thresher has a huge tail. We don't know if it got chafe on the nylon line, or the bait worked itself up the line and another shark came in and tried to get the bait, but got the line as well. But that one got away from us. We fought it for about 45 minutes. And the boat captain I go with, he's still like, we don't talk about it anymore. That we don't talk about threshers unless we see another one.
We don't. It's like we don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about a thrasher.
Yeah, but I mean, when we were there, 2 years ago or last year, 2 years ago, because last year we kind of got weathered out. Some boats went out and caught fish. Some boats went out and caught tuna, yellowfin, and then some boats just stayed in the Bay Area and caught whatever they could catch, black sea bass or some of the other species that are there in the bay. But there was a guy that caught a 14 or a 16-inch tiger shark, and they had swivel was out of the water. So swivel's out of the water is considered a catch, and I think it broke off. But I mean, they have pictures of it. It was huge. It was nice. It was a beautiful, beautiful shark, and I would have liked to seen that out of the water.
Are there what?
Leaves. Yeah, I'm expert level fisherman of leaves.
That's me too. So
yeah,
I'm going on this shark fishing trip. I hope I don't end up in the water with the shark.
Right.
Hey,
that would be me.
You better strap in, because if you get a big one, they can pull you in.
Yeah, I'm gonna be handing that pole like somebody else.
It depends on the boat. Yeah,
they do have seat belts that you can strap in, so you don't get pulled off the boat. Because I've seen them like some of those tuna fishing boats that they have, and then they got like a harness that goes around you, and then it straps into the boat. There's a hook in the boat, and then your fishing pole is strapped into the thing as well, and it's like, holy cow, man! But so. Tell me a little bit. Now, do you focus strictly on veterans and first responders in Kentucky, or do you bring them around from the surrounding states as well?
It's mostly Kentucky. We are Kentucky Wounded Heroes. We have in the past, and we still do every now and again, if we know somebody that's in one of the surrounding states, so West Virginia, Tennessee, Indiana, Ohio, if they're close, we're not saying all the way up in Cleveland, but if they're close-ish, and we know for sure that they need some camaraderie. They need some fellowship. They need some of the brotherhood, sisterhood. We will fold them in. But yeah, we're still small. We're still grassroots. Even we do a lot of events. We do big events. Everything that we do is still, all the funds are still organically raised, either through a grant or through us fundraising. So, we're only limited to what the funds that come in, the funds that we have to operate with. So that's why we try to keep it to Kentucky, because purchasing that out-of-state license for someone coming into Kentucky, it's costly. And we do purchase the license. Even when we go to Alaska, we purchase everybody's fishing license for Alaska.
Nice.
Okay. That's
Nice.
cool.
Yeah.
And the bad thing is we actually tried a couple years ago putting everything on the website, putting all of our events on the website and open it up. And we started figuring out that we got guys from Texas and Alabama and South Carolina and Georgia.
Yeah.
Grant, I feel for you if you need it, but it makes me wonder if it's not guys that are just abusing the system and trying to use us. And I hate to accuse someone of that, but we actually had one trip that we had a new guy in, and I kind of reached out to him, got to know him a little bit, and 2 weekends later he pops up on the feed, and he's with another group in another state doing the same kind of thing, and I'm like, man, you're just using this. And he wasn't from Kentucky; he was from another state. So that got we kind of pulled down to, hey, our money's coming from people here. Let's try to work with as many guys here as we can, because if we're raising money from the guy down the street here for somebody in Kentucky, let's try to spend our money on guys from Kentucky.
Yeah.
And we try to do a lot of events in Kentucky, so that money that is coming in, whether it's through the grant or the fundraising, is going back into our communities. We do the trip. We've got a walleye trip coming up to Lake Erie. You're not really fishing for big walleye anywhere in Kentucky. I mean, you can probably get them here and there, but you're not mass fishing for it.
Right.
So we go up to Lake Erie once or twice a year, 8-10 guys, girls, go up there, go some fishing, put some fish in there.
Next question. Is it, co-ed fishing trips? Is it?
It is.
Absolutely.
Everything we do is.
Yeah.
The hunting, the fishing, everything.
Yeah. The biggest problem we run into is the housing of it. Right. So if we have hotel rooms and it's, we have a single female, we want to try to fill every bed space. We want to try to fill every boat space. If we have one female, we have to find another female to room together, because we're not going to put males and females together, but we will put them on a boat together. We just don't house them together.
Right. No, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah. When we do an Airbnb or a lodge, the female may have her own room, or we'll find another female to share that room with her if there's a second bed in there. But
awesome.
Yeah, it is all co-ed. We try to get as many females as possible, because, I don't know how to put this. The females are more stubborn to sign up for events than the guys. And I think a lot of it is they've been turned away so many times by other organizations telling them, no, we don't need you. If you're in Kentucky and you're 50% or more, if you're wounded in the line of duty first responder, come on over, fill out an application, tell us you want to go on events. We'll get you up. We'll get you hunting. We'll get you fishing. All of our hunting events takes place in Kentucky, whether it's the pheasant, whether it's turkey, the deer hunts, that's all in Kentucky. And we do some fishing events in Kentucky as well.
I know Rocco with Camp Hero Kentucky started out with Kentucky Wounded Heroes. Do you guys partner with him to do some hunts at his property there in McNee?
We've not. We have a couple places that have opened up to us, and they give us their property for the entire hunting season. Rocco came over and did a few events with Kentucky Wounded Heroes while he was starting his stuff up and he basically used Kentucky as a model for his stuff. And, he branched off a little bit and opened it up to a little other people, like the kids of fallen first responders or kids of fallen veterans or wounded veterans and stuff like that, to give that the youth aspect of it. But yeah, missions are similar, but a little bit different at the same time too.
Right. Yeah, I've done quite a few things with Rocco. Of course, I knew him here in Bullitt County because he was a sheriff here, and and then I've followed his journey, as starting the nonprofit and seeing the youth hunts that he puts on and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's pretty neat. And then I had the opportunity to go up to his property and spend the weekend up there with some veterans from HomeFront Sitrep that watch and stuff like that, and had a pretty good weekend. And then I went back up there just for deer hunting. Me and my brother-in-law, we went up there for some outdoor therapy. I mean, that's, for me, being outdoors is something that I enjoy. Kind of like you, Officer Judd, up there, that or Trooper. I don't want to say officer. I'll say Trooper Judd.
Yeah, Trooper works.
I want to make sure I distinguish that, because the officer and the trooper is different. But you worked outside your whole career, and then you got hurt on the job, and now they got you doing something inside, pretty much primarily.
Yeah.
Me, I've always worked outside since I was 4 or 5, 6 years old, and then joined the Marine Corps. I was infantry, so I was outside. Got out of the military, worked in the factory for probably a month, maybe tops, and I was like, nope, can't do that.
That was before Julie.
Yeah, that was before you. And then got recalled back into the military, and then after I got out, I went to work for a pest control company outside, and I've been outside ever since. I don't know if I could go inside. So outdoors my therapy. It always has been, because I can go out in the woods and prop up on a tree or climb up in a deer stand and just soak in, as nature is waking up, and just soak.
Oh yeah,
there's not another feeling like that.
No, me and my wife, we got an RV, and we go out and go sit. I mean, we go do nothing but just go out sometimes and just sit out there and watch nature. And it's the greatest healing aspect for our program too. It's being outside, and the things we get to do and the things we get to see. It's just chills you out, sitting out there watching the deer come in. Even if I'm not a big hunter, but I like to go out there with those guys, and I'm trying to get back into hunting, a little bird hunting. I'm not much of a deer hunter or anything like that, but it's Alaska is going up there. I'd been up there with my wife, but going on that trip, and you just look around and see the beauty. There's nothing like it on the planet. I don't want to go to another country to see anything when we got stuff like that in our own.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm right there with you. I mean, we have so much natural beauty here in the continental U.S. and then Alaska and Hawaii as well. You throw those in there. Now, me and Deeds, we've both been around the world. Heck, I was around the world twice before I was like 22 years old. And, I've seen some places, and we kind of talked about this last night on the podcast with Dexter Pitts. We've seen some third world countries that, people are like, oh, America sucks. But you go to these third world countries like Haiti and Tunisia and places that we've been to, and it's like, man, just the natural beauty of America. Like if you're traveling out west to Texas or Arkansas, up to Montana up there, it's just remarkable at, what's out there. It's crazy.
So, the big thing about being in the outdoors too, especially fishing, we would get to watch these guys and girls come in and their guards up, right? They don't know if they can trust us. They don't know what they can say around us. Then you get them on the boat and they're concentrating on catching a fish, and they catch a fish, and that first woo comes through. Well, now it's the trash talking, and then it's, I'm going to catch a bigger fish than you. So that little bit of competition, that little bit of competitiveness comes out. And by day 2, I mean, it's like your family. You're taking jabs at each other all the time.
Yeah.
And
the competitiveness will get me every time.
Yeah. When I went to Alaska with Kentucky Wounded Heroes the first time, I had a Vietnam veteran on the boat with me who was actually one of the riverboat guys. He was Brown Water Navy during Vietnam. And I had the biggest fish, and we had one more fish to catch. Bob catches it, and it's bigger than mine. The next day we go out, I had the biggest fish on the boat. One more fish to go. Bob catches it, and it's bigger than mine. I'm like, dang, come on. something's got to happen here.
Yeah, you got to love that. You got to love that.
And I spend a lot of time with Bob now, and we've been on a lot of trips together, and it's just putting jabs. And I'm taking him up to New Jersey too. He missed out on it last year. He had a real bad table saw accident or skill saw accident that busted up his hand a little bit, but he's ready to go now. But yeah, just being in the outdoors and everything that's in your mind when you get there just tends to plane off.
Yeah.
And you're focusing on whatever that mission is, whether it's shooting a deer or birds or, or you're fishing, and it, for that time being, you're back to normal, right?
Yeah.
Or your new normal. And then, of course, we always stay in touch with the guys and girls that come in just to see how they're doing after the trip's over, because now they're coming down off that high of being in Alaska or in the woods here in Kentucky or up on Lake Erie, up in New Jersey, getting to meet guys and girls that have gone through similar situations that they have or you have. So, I mean, it's always fun as an organizer to watch the new people come in and just kind of be like, sit in the corner or sit there and drink their tea. And then all of a sudden it's like, where'd this person come from? You're not the same person as you were yesterday.
So we don't let you sit in the corner very long either. If you sit in the corner, we're over there on you. And we figured out the last few years, we grew really quick over a year or so. Yeah. And then we kind of had to step back and punt a little bit and say, hey, how about we start keying these trips down to 8 to 12 person kind of group, because you get to make that relationship with these people and you get to have a lot more camaraderie. You get to know them, even if it's a 2-day deal. If you only have 10 people there, you get to know the people that you're with. If you have 20, it's kind of hard to make a connection with all of them. So we've kind of not geared it down as far as what we're doing, but we've tried to gear the trip sizes down a little bit just so we can make that relationship with these people.
Yeah, so JR says makes more personalized and more intimate.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly right.
That's why I would assume any kind of small group, like, your coffee and camaraderie.
Yeah, camaraderie and coffee. If you have a smaller group, you do get to open up a little bit, but it's nothing like. All right, so let's compare the two: being outdoor around a campfire, or you're in a public access coffee shop. You're gonna speak more open freely around that campfire than you will in a coffee shop.
Right.
And I was going to bring that up because there's been several times where you get together in a group, whether it be a small group or a larger group, and at the end of the day, you've had a fun day of fishing or hunting or doing whatever, and then at the end of the day, you're sitting around a campfire, and you've built that camaraderie during the day. You started to open up a little bit, but then you get around the campfire and you're sitting there and you're smoking and joking and doing whatever. Well, you're making it strong, that bond even stronger. And people start opening up and start freely talking more. So I think that's why nature, outdoor therapy, let's call it outdoor therapy. I think it works better than, taking somebody into a classroom setting or something like that and try to force the issue out of them. Because that don't work. If you let somebody just open up and talk freely around other veterans or other first responders, then they're going to open up a whole lot easier.
Yeah, that force stuff don't work at all, especially with a bunch of. So you get a bunch of. I mean, we're all type A personalities. That's why we're doing what we're doing. And you get in a group, and you tell me I have to do something or I have to talk about something. Hey, I'm out. You're gone. I'll tell you what I need to tell you, and then I'm out. I'm shut you off real quick. So
and that's why we've kind of moved away from hotel as well, because you go to a hotel, you're more apt to go to your room and stay in your room. But when you're in a condo, right, even though there's 4 or 5 different rooms in there, you're all going to congregate around one central location, whether it's the TV or out back on the porch or the bonfire or whatever. So we've gone to the Airbnb / condo type settings to make it more personable, to make it more homey, so you're not like in the hotel and just disappearing and staying to yourself.
Well,
Yeah.
have you seen oops. Have you seen the commercial? I feel like it's an Airbnb commercial, and it talks about going on vacation with a kid in your hotel room.
Yeah.
Like your bedtime is the child's bedtime
Yep.
if you're in one hotel room. But in an Airbnb situation or a community space, you have the availability to kind of do everything that you need. It's still structured, I would say, in terms of structured, meaning like it's a safe space.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to, a hotel lobby that anybody could walk in and out of.
Yeah.
Or a hotel like community room or something that, yeah, you might have reserved it, but that makes me think of, a high school.
Yeah.
High school
And we-
workshop
and we-
or something or something.
We
like
also every meal when we're planning them out like this, when we're planning out where we're staying in an Airbnb or we're staying in a condo, or our first trip, the first time I went to Alaska, we were in a couple of different places at a lodge, but there was two different buildings. But at night we were all eating together. So
Right.
we plan everything together. So you're sitting around a table together with the people that you're with all day. And there's just something about breaking bread with somebody and hanging out with them all day in nature that it just, man, you just make that bond. I met a guy on my first trip to Alaska, and when I first seen him, I prayed when he was coming down the aisle of the airplane. I was like, God, please don't let him sit with me. And I talked to him every day since then.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And our kids became my son and his son go to EKU and became friends. So, I mean, it's just a small world that, he's a brother I never knew I had.
Yeah, and that's a good thing about having it, small intimate groups like that, because you make lifelong friends while you're doing, either hosting the event or joining the event. You do make lifelong friends. I mean, I got some friends from that, like Doc, who pops on here occasionally. I met him through a veteran service organization, and he was home ridden. So he Navy corpsman, he got out as a corpsman. Now he was an EMT for a while as well. And he was home ridden for 10 years. Like, he couldn't leave his house. And me and him got hooked up through a veteran service organization. And, I seen him come out of his shell, just by, doing equine therapy and then just chatting and talking and getting to know him and see what his story is. And, his wife, called me it was around Christmas time a couple years back. And she said, "Hey, Thomas is in a bad way. Can you come hang out with him?" I dropped what I was doing, and I drove there, and I sat with him for an hour or two. I don't remember exactly how long it was, but you build that friendship with these smaller intimate groups than you would, going to an organization that's hosting an event and there's 40 people there.
Well, yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
I have a question.
Okay.
Sam, I don't know, Samuel
Sam Deeds, yeah.
So you were in barracks with your fellow Marines, right?
Yep.
Well, I mean, just like that
Yeah.
lends itself to that. Like, this is what I'm going to ask about, Mr. Judd, Trooper Judd, however I'm supposed
Brian,
to.
whatever you want to call me, it doesn't matter.
When you were training, were you in college or any of those things? Like, you had that kind of barracks or dorm room type of situation?
When we were in the academy, back when I went through, we had you either had 2 or 3 roommates the whole time, but
Right.
the only time you were just with them is when you were sleeping. Everything else was like when you're in the military, everything's together.
Right.
And so, yeah, you kind of get to know, it's the same kind of thing. My friends that I was roommates with in the academy, because they won't let you stay with the same guys over a few weeks, and then they pop you in a room with somebody else so you get to know them. And I think it was every 4 weeks we had to switch. 4 or 5 weeks we switched roommates.
Man, I'm glad we didn't do that.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't do it either.
And we got
Yeah.
and you got 2 or 3 more that you but by that time you were getting to know everybody. There was, I think
Right.
we started out 70 or 80, but my roommates, I talked to every one of them until they retired or quit all the time. And a couple of them I still keep up with. Unfortunately, one of them passed away in a crash, um,
Mm.
but yeah, you make that bond, and it's kind of the same thing as this
Right.
this
That's
is
what
a
I was
lot
kind of going with. Like, I
smaller
don't have
aspect. Yeah.
a dorm room, or I don't have a military barracks frame of reference, but there are girls that were in our wedding that I've been friends with, that I lived with in college, and we have an almost, I can't say it out loud. Our oldest is almost to the age where we're looking at, college
Colleges.
visits and things like that. And so I'm like, yeah, these people are gonna be the people that you
Mhm.
Yeah.
resonate with in that small group. And then like having to figure out how to have interpersonal skills comes from, I think, that young adulthood, and right, figuring out
Yeah.
how to communicate with people
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
time. And
Sure.
I mean, our
So,
oldest is kind of backwards in that.
so our oldest, when she graduates high school next year, she'll graduate next year. She's in law enforcement. Her career path is law enforcement in high school. So she's already taken some college level criminal justice courses, and then plus everything else. So her plan is she's going to go in the Air Force as an officer, go to college first, do
That changes often.
and do her time there, and then she wants to get into law enforcement.
Right.
She wants to either do. She talked about Kentucky State Troopers. She also talked about FBI. So she's definitely headed down that path. And then my youngest daughter, who's 15, her path is she's going to go become a combat medic, and then she's going to become a high school history teacher. So I'm excited to see their thought process, as being, younger adults now, because like when Sam and I joined the military, it was something that I knew from very early on in childhood that I was going in the military. And I'm sure Sam was the same way. And now my daughters, as they're growing up, they know that dad was in the military. They know the stuff that I went through, the stuff that I seen. They don't know everything, because I do kind of keep them protected from that. But they do know the good things about the military. And I'm proud to say that, that their choice is their choice, because I'm not forcing it on them. Mama would tell you that, hey, let's not make them go in the military, but I'm not going to tell them they can't go in the military.
Right.
And my daughter, I'll tell you what, you guys as police officers, whether you're on the state level or city level, people don't understand the pressures that you guys are under, because you're sometimes in a life and death situation. You got like 0.4 seconds
Yeah.
to make a decision whether you're going to pull your gun out and shoot somebody or whatever. And then sometimes like with Rocco, on his story, he got ran over at a gas station
Yeah.
by a lady, and that ended his career. So
We have a lot of first responders in our family.
yes.
So a lot of really interesting stories at the Thanksgiving table.
Yeah,
You said something
my
about
twin
a
brother's actually a
decapitation.
trooper, or he's actually retired.
Who is?
He went.
His
My
twin
twin brother.
Oh,
He retired from us. Right. He retired as soon as he got his 20 years in, but he started a little bit before I did. And it's I have all my kids are adults. My daughters they already have their master's degrees. They've already graduated and have their big girl jobs. And then my son is in college right now. And I've always told him, look, I don't want you to be a trooper. I want you to do something else. And probably a year ago, he comes in. He's like, look, I know you don't want me to be a trooper. And I said, before you go any farther, stop. If you want to be a trooper, I will be your biggest fan. I
Right.
will back you 110%. It's a great job. But as he knows, it's not the best thing for your family.
right.
And I was like, man, there's other things out there for you, but I'm not going to be sad if he follows my footsteps. I told him, I'm like, man, I'll change my badge number. I'll give you my badge. You can wear the badge I've worn for 25 years if you want.
Mm.
That's a
And
big sign of respect too, that they want to
yeah,
like when the girls talk about going into the military, even though their paths are very different and what they like, I know it's a big deal for him.
yeah,
Like they want to do what he did.
yeah. And you know what? That's because as he modeled his life for them. I didn't realize I didn't realize that I was pointing him in this direction, even though I was trying to get him to go the other way because it's all he's ever seen. And
Yeah.
the bad thing for him is he doesn't ever remember me being in uniform. He
Right.
doesn't remember me being on the road. He doesn't remember any of that, even though there's pictures and stuff of it. He don't remember any of it because he was so young when I got hurt. And I mean, I think I worked till he was probably 6 or 7. I worked the road in uniform, but he don't remember much of it. But
Right.
now I look at him. He's like he changed his mind now. He's his girlfriend's kind of changes his path maybe a little bit, but
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. And I keep telling him go federal. I said, I mean, go work for the feds.
Yeah.
Right.
But if he wants to work for us, I'm gonna say, man, go for it.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Yeah. So
And
my daughter, she's, talked to somebody from state troopers. I guess they came to the school, and they were talking about when she gets out of high school, she can go straight into their dispatch, get trained up that way, and
yeah,
then she can move into trooper after that. And and I don't steer my kids any. My kids, well, I didn't have kids when I was in the military. After I got out is when we had our first kid, and they see what all the stuff that I do with veterans and stuff like that. And I've been in the veteran side of things since 2004, and whether I be working with Operation Victory, where we go in and rebuild a home and give it to a homeless veteran, or going out handing food out to veterans that are homeless down in Louisville, or the tiny home project that we were trying to get started here in the city of Louisville. My kids see all that.
yeah,
They see me doing this podcast, and they see that I'm talking to other veterans, and they see that how passionate I am about it. And and I just tell them, hey, you have to make your own path, whether you want to go straight to college and then go into law enforcement, do that. If you want to go military, college, law enforcement,
yeah.
do that. And I'll never steer them in a direction that I don't think is going to be best for them, but I will give them their options either way they go. So
Right. Well,
uh,
with my daughters are twins as well. I have a twin brother. I have a set of twins. My
Fun.
wife actually has a twin brother, so it
holy
kind
cow.
of rolls in there. But my daughter, one of them is a school teacher, and the other one is a mental health counselor.
Mm,
And she took that route because of me, and because of this program, and because of our neighbor, which is funny. Our neighbor, I probably didn't have 5 conversations with my neighbor until he went to Alaska with us. Um, and the reason he went to Alaska is when Chuck called me in 19, he said, "Do you know any other of a veteran that may want to go that's been disabled or Purple Heart or anything?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think my neighbor was in the Marines. I'm not sure I know he's retired out of there, whatever." So I kind of walked over had my wife call his wife or whatever. We met at the fence, and I was like, "Hey, man, you'll go to Alaska?" Kind of one of those conversations. But we had lived beside each other for 2 years. But you
mm,
go back to that type A personality. He calls it the warrior mentality, and it's
Mhm.
true. We both had the warrior mentality, and man, we just go by the fence, grunt at each other, and move on.
mm,
And so through Kentucky Wounded Heroes now, I mean, I talk to him about every day. He lives right next door to me.
right.
But it was that, I look back and I'm like, man, how could you be such a jerk? He's a nice guy, nice family. But when you're in a bad place in your mind, you don't know it, that you think you're being normal. And that's the biggest part about it. And I'm a big proponent for speaking out for people now within our agency. I'm in a position now that I am I'm able to talk to our command staff and the people in our agency about the issue of the PTSD and the things that go along with all this stuff, that we've just kind of, it wasn't intentional, but it's just kind of been pushed aside all these years. And now I'm like, man, there's guys out there that you have to look at this stuff. And me and Sam have had a million conversations about this, because I never really had my eyes open to really what we do. And Sam brought it up, what he said earlier. He told me before. And he's like, hey, guys, you guys see things every day. But for us, that's just what it is. You just see it and you move on to the next. And, I thought everybody was like me. I didn't think anybody had emotions. I thought everybody just blew everything off and went on to the next thing. I didn't know it wasn't normal to not have any feelings about anything. And then you look around and I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I'm the odd one here. I thought everybody else was the odd one.
Yeah, well, you eventually become desensitized to it, right? So, but then over time, all that stuff builds up, and then at some point in time, something, and it could be just, I mean, for me with post-traumatic stress, it's different. Sometimes it's a smell. Sometimes it's, man, as much as I do like the 4th of July and fireworks, that week leading up to, and everybody's testing their stuff, and you got a neighbor 2 doors down that shoots a mortar that just shakes the house. Man, I feel it in my friggin' bones, man. Right. And when you get blown up twice, just that concussion back on your body again, it takes me right back to Iraq in 2005, and it's like, oh, I'm home. Take a breath. You're going to be fine. But
I've seen that with him firsthand, and like, loves 4th of July. His birthday is July 7th. Thinks 4th of July is wonderful. Wants to spend, our entire savings on fireworks. Got to reel it in. And it's the 1st, and somebody's setting off fireworks down the street, and he's like, I think I'm going to go to bed. What?
Yeah.
What are you doing? It's not thunder. It's not lightning. It's that place.
Yeah. So like Sam said, like smells. Sam, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna take you back to Haiti real quick. Remember the marketplace, right?
Dude, I was there in 2004, so I had to go through all that again. 99 and 2004. So I had to experience the market twice. And
God.
And the fortunate thing for us in 99, we were 99.9% of the time vehicle mounted. In 2004, we were walking it.
Ooh.
And it was just as bad, if not worse, because we started off as, oh my goodness, peacemaking to peacekeeping, then went into humanitarian, all in that same time frame that we were down there. When you and I were down there in 99, it was all peace. It was all humanitarian support and security. Dude, in 2004 was way different, and especially the smells and
the smell. So that's like, talking about smell, like here in Louisville, they got the waste management place over there, and on a hot summer day, just driving by the windows rolled down, it just brings me right back to it brings me right back to friggin' Haiti, sitting in the marketplace. Candace, yes, Sam was with 2-8 Golf Company where I was at, yes. But it just, small things trigger me. I mean, it could be, like you said, it could be anything with, dealing with the PTS that we have. And sometimes it could be, it looks better, Brian.
Hey, I was trying to keep the light. I had my windows open as long as the sun would stay up, but it's going away. So
no, that looks great now. But so small things trigger me, like my hypervigilance kicks in. My hypervigilance kicks in. My anxiety kicks in. I tell them all the time. It's like when on Sundays when we're ready for church, I want to leave at 10:45 so I can get to church, for the 11:15 service. So I want to get to church right around 11 o'clock so I can get in there, find the seat that I want to sit in, make sure I can check out all my vantage points and stuff like that. And she's like, 11 o'clock, we're now leaving. I'm like, we're going to be late and we're going to have to sit, and just, it's crazy. So
I take care of the cameras at our church. And about a year ago, a kid was in the foyer. You open the doors up to come into a big old glass area, and then there's a wall, and then you're going into the main sanctuary. And he was undoing a knee brace. Velcro off, Velcro on, Velcro off, Velcro on. Sounds just like a vest.
Of course.
So I go downstairs. I mean, I got my gun out already. I'm like, buddy, it's on right now. I think this is my last day on earth, but I'm going to go out fighting. And then when I looked around and saw him, I was like, I turned different colors. I'm like, oh my gosh, man.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking in my head, okay, were you wrong? Are you a little off today or what? Because I went back to places that I would rather stay away from.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, for 2 days later, everything I think about, I try to go to sleep at night, and I'm having nightmares and everything else and get calmed down. But I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, like, circling back to the events that you do you have somebody who goes with you in terms of a mental health specialist, or is that a portion of, like, even the application? Like, is it like, do you have to meet? I mean, obviously, like, you want to make sure that we take care of people, but we also want to make sure that you're safe.
There's a lot of us. It's kind of like a group therapy.
Right.
And I've actually had some guys that are pretty far off the chain, but we've never really had an issue because we all understand. We all kind of get it and roll with it. We do have one of our board members is a medical doctor. He's not a mental health doctor.
Right.
But then one of our other staff is she is a mental health counselor, and she's at a lot. She's not at everything, but she's at some things. And but we have the options to reach out to people if we need them.
Or you got guys like me that's a certified peer mentor that knows the steps or assist qualified for suicide prevention, stuff like that. So I mean, we do have people on staff that are not to the point of a certified counselor at every event, but we do have people that are suicide prevention qualified or certified peer mentor, stuff like that, in case somebody does need to talk more outside of just that group setting. Like, and everybody's triggers are different, right? So us talking about what happened to me might trigger somebody's emotional state that they just need to leave the room, which is fine. If you need to leave, you can leave. And, I'll go find that person and be like, hey, was it something I said? And, sometimes it's like, what you were saying brought me back to a place I don't want to go to. Understandable, right? Then just ask them if they're okay, if they are having suicidal thoughts or ideations, and they're like, no, I'm good. I just don't want to hear it. So, and sometimes it's the noise, sometimes it's the smell, sometimes they see, every trigger is different for everybody. Yeah. So it's just, it's hard to know everybody's triggers, and, we ask for DD 214 just to be ensured that the veteran is who they say they are, what they've done. For a first responder, Brian will reach out to, and this one of the main reasons we try to stay within Kentucky too, because Brian can reach out to, Hopkinsville and say, hey, you got Corporal Schmuckatelli down there, got injured, and be like, he ran over his own foot. Oh, okay. Right. So we've
actually had some of those like that. Like, hey, we've had some that we've had some military guys that ended up not being in the military or not whatever happening. We've had some first responders that when we get down to the bottom of the story, they're like, well, actually, technically they have an injury, but and those people are, if you have a but, I'm sorry, I'm not for you. If you have a XYZ here,
And we
Not
found
the-
that out later, like after they've
Yeah.
already been on trips and stuff like that. So that's why we've started vetting a little bit more.
Right. That was
And then for the veterans, we ask for what's your VA percentage. I mean, we don't go in depth to, what's your PTS, what's your TBI, what's your, total, we just want to know what your percentage is, because if we did every veteran that had a rating, I mean, it's hard, right? So we start at that 50%. And then go from there. And if there is somebody that's at that 30, because everything's in tens, right? With the VA, there's no
Right.
25s, 35s. Yeah. So that we had one guy, I'm 25. I'm like,
No, you're not.
you've never been to the VA then.
It's never worked that way. But they're like 30%. And we know for a fact, like Willis says, dude, this guy needs to come in. He's struggling. He needs you guys. We'll make the exception. Right. And that's a case by case basis. It's a personal referral from somebody that we know, that we trust in their judgment. But we've also gone alcohol free too, because
that's awesome.
That makes sense too.
Well, and because you don't know what meds the guys next to you are. And for personal reasons, I've not had a drink since probably 2019, 2018. Right. So I don't drink, but it's a personal preference for medical issues. Not that I wouldn't mind having a drink every now and again. Don't get me wrong. I just can't for me.
Right.
Now, if you were married to him, you'd want to drink.
Or we have people that were on the verge of becoming alcoholics or are recovering, and just having it present in front of them. And sometimes that peer pressure gets to you and it puts you back into that cycle. Right. So you got guys that are 10, 12 years complete sober, and now they're drinking because everybody else is. So we've squashed the alcohol thing with Kentucky Wounded Heroes or any event that we go to, just because you don't know everybody's situation.
Right.
And they're not going to tell you, hey, I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
So
that's like me. Like when I was in the military, they said, hey, you're an alcoholic, went through detox. I didn't touch alcohol for God, I don't know how many years. And now we've been together 20 years, and she's seen me drunk one time. And that we were in the Dominican. I was in the pool with another Marine that I met. He was from upstate New York. And it was just me and him in the pool, and we were sitting there chit chatting, and they had a swim up bar, and I was getting drunk, and literally did not feel it.
It was funny.
I literally did not feel it until I got out of the pool, and I didn't eat anything all day long. So she had to make sure I got me some food, but even still, I'll drink on occasion. But what I do is I drink 1, 2, or 3, and that'll be over 6, 7 hours of time, just hanging out with people. And so I like the fact that you don't have alcohol, because there are a lot of veterans out there that self-medicate with alcohol. And if they're, fishing and they're drinking while they're fishing, they might say, let me jump off this boat and commit suicide. So liability wise, that's smart on your guys' part, where you don't have alcohol on the boat. So or in the woods with you while you're hunting. Candace has a question here. She goes, so do you not accept veterans who have not went through the VA as far as ratings?
At this point, we don't, unless they're referred by somebody that we know. Being the wounded veterans, right? Kentucky Wounded Heroes,
right?
Your DD 214 doesn't say that unless you have a Purple Heart, right? So if you do have a Purple Heart on your DD 214, we don't even bother about the VA rating, right? Because we know that you were injured in combat and it was certified through whatever branch of service that you were in. But yes, so those who served even like the Gulf War, right? There were fewer Purple Hearts in the Gulf War, but in recent years, a lot of them have developed Gulf War syndrome, right? And they've become 50, 60, 70, 100% through toxic exposure of the burning oil field. So, just getting that percentage helps us understand better. Yes, okay, you're a wounded veteran. That's the way that we've done, that we've now changed things to do.
You have to.
And
be
the fact
able to
is, you have to put a line somewhere. You have to do something.
There has to
And
be a
with us,
qualifier.
correct. With first responders, there's nothing.
There's no
there's no
paperwork.
there's no paperwork. There's no scale. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing. We get nothing. We don't get a Purple Heart. We don't get a medal. We get nothing that says, "Hey, you got hurt." And so, we look at it like, okay, you got hurt. What was your injury, kind of thing.
Right.
If you broke your finger, that's one thing. If you got hit by a car and broke your everything bone in your body, that's another. So
Right. I
Yeah,
wonder.
and we hate turning veterans away. We really do. But
Right.
and we understand that there are veterans out there that need help. But like I said, if you know me or Willis or any of the guys that have been part of Kentucky Wounded Heroes, be like, Sam, this guy really needs somebody. And I know you all day, every day. I don't even blink an eye at it.
Right. Well, and I think Candace has this question, and I also do, as the wife of a veteran who refused because of
Stubbornness.
I was gonna be nicer than that.
Say it.
Because of his stubborn ass.
Yep.
I was like, listen, if you don't go to the VA and figure this out, we're done. He doesn't have, at this point, doesn't have a rating. And he's working with all of these different people. We're 400 doctor's appointments in. And, we don't have a rating. He doesn't have a rating yet. I want to say we, but he doesn't have a rating yet. I understand that stigma of going to the VA and having, I know there has to be a qualifier. It makes sense. But there's still some documentation, even if you don't have a rating, that you could still prove that. Is that correct or no? Am I way off base?
Yeah, not without getting into HIPAA, right? And I understand
Right.
that, if I'm asking the question to the actual veteran, right? So let me qualify something here. When I retired in 2011, from just before that, I've been leading, mentoring, training Marines forever. After I got out of the Marine Corps, my sole focus was post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injury, and veteran suicide. I worked with a national organization that raised a lot of money. I spoke all over the nation. I spoke to the Republican National Party up in DC, the Congressional Gala in DC, about all these things. And then, of course, being a certified peer mentor. When you start asking people questions, you can tell who's blowing smoke and who's not.
Right.
If you understand post-traumatic stress, if you understand traumatic brain injury, and if you understand, suicidal ideations and thoughts, right? So you can weed out veterans really quick if they're trying to BS you, right? So, but there's a lot of guys, Brian included, that doesn't understand the DD-214 because he never served. Even guys that did serve don't understand the DD-214. We ask for the member 4 copy, and people are like, "What's that?"
Right.
Well, that gives you your separation code. That gives you your discharge. Your oh my gosh.
No, I know what you're
your type
talking
of
about.
discharge, stuff like that, right? So I can give you my DD-214 member 1 all day, but it's not going to tell you whether it was honorable, dishonorable, bad conduct, other than honorable, any of that. But the
Absolutely.
member 4 on the second page tells you all of that.
Yeah.
And then it gives you your code for reenlistment. It gives you your discharge code. And as a retired gunny, I still have my separations manual. So I can go and be like, oh, Marine Corps, SJA is this.
Right.
Or the reenlistment code 4 means you're not reenlistable. Oh, why is this guy not reenlistable? Then you go back to the discharge code and look at it. So, there's ways to figure out the veteran of where they serve. Like on Willis's, it probably says Haiti, Operation New Horizons, 1999. Like
it says all kinds of stuff on it.
January to.
I looked at
April
I looked at it
99.
today because I know that's a very weird thing to say. I was comparing his to another. I do mortgages, we do VO mortgages, and I was trying to figure out this guy. Like, I can't get his certificate of eligibility right. So I'm like, crap, why is this not working? So I'm looking at David's, and I was like, huh.
Well, it's crazy. In each branch of service,
Right.
minus the Navy, because Navy and the Marine Corps is pretty similar just because.
Right. This guy was Army. So
but when you go to the Army, when you go to the Air Force, the codes are different.
Yeah.
You know, the re-enlistment codes are roughly the same, but the discharge codes are way different. So I've had to actually look in Army separations manual numerous times when the guy that does all our registration says, "Hey, Sam, I don't understand this," because he was a Marine. And then he did do some time in the Army too, but he just didn't understand the separation. So I'll look it up. You're like, well, it's this code. This says this. And like, we can't do anything with him because it's a other than honorable under, general under
right.
other than honorable conditions. It's like,
so if it was other than honorable or dishonorable or something like that, then they wouldn't be eligible.
Yeah, for
I
us.
would assume.
Yeah. So general under honorable, depending on what the code is, and then obviously honorable discharge.
So we're going to move on just a little bit here. What upcoming events do you guys got coming up here in the next little bit?
Let's see. We have the shark trip in May. We have the walleye trip in June. We have hopefully a crappie trip in fall here at Cumberland.
Oh, fun.
We have obviously the deer hunting in the fall. Two different places
coming up.
Oh, we have a turkey hunting trip in April too because I'm going. I forgot about that. Never been turkey hunting before.
Yeah, we've got the fundraiser event coming up too.
Yeah, May 18th. I forgot about that. With May 18th, we have a fundraiser, J&H Outdoors.
All right, so I'm on the website right now.
Yes.
This is underneath of
get involved.
Get involved.
Yes.
And then so you got Sunday, April 14th. Looks like all military,
Keeneland.
Active duty, and veterans.
That's Keeneland.
This is at Keeneland.
Yes.
April 14th.
And we have J&H Outdoors.
J&H Outdoors, which is going to be May 18th.
Correct.
And then you have February. No, that says February 5th. So that's
last.
Yeah, that's old stuff.
That's going to be old too.
And I have to say, we used to put everything up there ahead of time. And I mentioned it earlier. We kind of stopped putting a lot of our events on the website prior to because of we were getting inundated by guys from out of state. And it's nothing against guys from out of state, but we were spending a lot of time vetting people. And we didn't know we had a glitch either in our website that you didn't have to put your state. So,
okay.
and everybody's got a cell phone number now. So you may have an area code in Knoxville or you may have an area code in Colorado. Right. And so we didn't know who any of these people were. And we were getting these lists together and then we were calling these people and we actually literally had people from Texas, Colorado, Alabama, Louisiana,
Florida, Georgia.
And we're like, oh, wait a minute. This is for a hunt that's going to last for an hour in Winchester. We can't. So we were trying to go that route. It blew up in our face.
Right.
In a way we didn't need it to go. So now we let guys sign up on the website. Once Marty gets their information, we put the information. He puts it in a spreadsheet. We just got some stuff. I guess I'm the young guy. I'm 50, but I'm quote the young guy. So I'm the tech guy, one of the tech guys. So we're going to start putting stuff as a staff that we can all get to, so we can see all this list, everything that we've got going. We started that last month, so we know who we have available to go on these trips, who hasn't been on a trip with us, who was on the last ones, who maybe was on 4 or 5 in a row, or maybe 5 last year. And we do have some guys that get to go on a lot of trips, but they're available. And at the last minute, when we have a spot and we need availability, they're available to go. But we like I said earlier, we kind of changed our mindset of the trip. So some of the trips aren't as big. So we're trying to do more trips, smaller, more local, so we get more guys involved, get that
No, that's
intimate
awesome.
relationship. So, but we do have a turkey hunting trip coming up, and it's I think we got our people locked in on that. I got roped in. I've never been turkey hunting, so I guess I'm going to give that a. Grew up in the mountains. Grew up in Eastern Kentucky. Never turkey hunted in my life.
Yeah. So what we
Okay.
do now is, if there's an event, we have that list of people, and we'll go and be like, "Hey, we have this event from this day to this day. Can you make it?" No, okay, appreciate you. We'll think about you the next one. We may be doing a trip during this time frame. Do you have anything open there? And they'll be like, "Yeah, give me a call for the walleye trip." So we'll put walleye beside them, and then when we start scheduling people for that event, we'll give that person the first call back. "Hey, we got the walleye trip. It's this date to this date. Are you interested?" "Yeah, I want to go." And so we've started doing it that way, just so our website's not getting flooded.
Nice. Now, let's say somebody, a veteran or a first responder, they want to volunteer with Kentucky Wounded Heroes. How do they go about volunteering?
You basically sign up on the same way on the website. There's a volunteer spot on there. Once they sign up, we put them on a list as a volunteer, and then we get a hold of them when we need help or if something comes up. And I mean, we reach out to a lot of guys. Sam's got a buddy that's helped us out many times, and doesn't mind at all coming to anything we need. And I think it is under. I can look this.
Is it get underneath the get involved? I see.
I think it's under
It
get
might-
involved.
It might be under the register.
Yeah, it might be under registration, and then there's a volunteer somewhere on there.
Let's see. Military veterans,
First
please.
responders. Did they take it off?
They
Did
may
they
have taken it
update?
off.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
seeing a volunteer.
There was a volunteer one on there. I know.
Yeah, we'll get that put back on.
Yeah. We'll
What
get
if you
that
go
back on.
contact?
Yeah, let's see if it's
Yeah.
under.
Yeah, well, there should be. Yeah, you can
Yeah,
do the
there you
contact
go.
form
Yeah.
and then do your message. I'd like to
Yeah.
volunteer. Is there any?
Cool.
Are there any opportunities coming up?
That's awesome. So, I know obviously this is for Kentucky. Have you had people, or would it ever be something that next steps you would go and have, like, in different states have these same types of things so that you could,
We have actually helped start two in other
that's
states.
where I was
yes.
getting, like,
Yes, we've
different
helped.
chapters in different states.
I
There's
say
one in Iowa.
Yeah, one in Iowa, and there was one in Illinois that was starting to get off the ground a couple years ago. COVID
cool.
kind of killed everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That
but
makes
yeah,
complete sense.
The Iowa one has taken off. They actually looked at a charter a few years ago to try to make it into a big thing, but honestly, that's not our vision.
Oh yeah,
And
no, I was
so-
just wondering if you had, like,
Yeah, to have
if other people had reached out to
Yes,
emulate
yes,
Yeah.
and
what you're doing here, because it's so
I'm actually
cool.
working with a guy right now in Indiana. He's in southern Indiana, just outside of Louisville, and I'm working on him with his that he is starting. And I've been working with him since I think last May, and we've talked a lot. And he's been to a couple of our things, kind of figured out how we do things. Looked at the way we actually the way we were just talking, and the way we were picking people for our stuff, the list we keep. Because we want to be equitable, we want to be fair. We want to keep
Right.
we want to keep everything spread out. But
Right.
I'm pretty sure it was Illinois that started one, and I don't know what happened there. But
I think it
the
was
Iowa one,
just before COVID. I think.
yeah, the Iowa one is Jesse Sage is the guy who's got that one, and Jesse he's a great guy. Took off with it and does a lot of the same kind of things we do out there. So it's a neat deal.
Yeah,
So-
and they talked about going bigger, right, and expanding, but
Right.
then you're talking about a brick and mortar place, so payment for that, the overhead for that,
That's a
the
lot.
bills for that, and then staff, right, having to pay staff,
Mm-hmm.
and the board decided that it would be better to put the money into the program than it would to pay people, right? Because everybody saw the issue that a national program had, and we don't want to be that program. We don't want to be that type
Right.
of program. We'd rather have every single penny go into the program and to help, first responders, wounded
Right.
veterans, and we've had actually Gold Star family members or family members of fallen first responders as well too, and those have all come by referral too.
Yeah.
There's no place for that on our webpage, but we've taken the son of a fallen Lexington police officer on hunts, on fishing trips. We've taken some Gold Star families on fishing trips. So
That's awesome.
It says first responders and veterans, but we do include families of the fallen as well.
That's awesome.
I
Yeah,
think
and
that's
I know
really cool.
I talked about it on the video, I think, but none of us get paid anything.
Right.
I think the only things our organization owns is a 2017 van that we got basically for free, a trailer, and some banners,
Yep.
Right.
and maybe a couple tables. I mean, we have no assets whatsoever.
I love
and,
that.
and we don't want that.
Right.
We want to give back everything we can give to
Because you're
people.
pouring into the people who need the help as opposed to pouring into
Yep.
Yeah.
your
Instead of,
pocket.
Our president gets on me all the time because he's like, I have one of our credit cards, and he's like, "Can you quit buying things with your own money? Can you use our credit card?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir. I'll buy some things with your money for a minute." But it's if I got it and we need it, I don't mind. I don't mind doing it.
right.
It all comes out in the wash. So
And with what you guys do here in Kentucky, there are other organizations, Montana, Texas, that kind of do the same thing that you guys do. They focus on veterans and first responders. They take them out hunting. They might just focus on hunting, or you got one that just focuses on fishing. And going to make it a national syndicated 501c3, there's a lot of headache in that, and then you'd have to have a Kentucky board, then you'd have to have a national board, then you'd have to have a board for each state, and it's a lot of headache. Because I work for a telecommunications company that has a national 501c3. It's been around since 1940 something, so it's been around a really long time, and
It's Thomas Bell.
And so it's been around a long time. But the problem with the national organization is breaking it down in the chapters in each state is getting people to get involved with that chapter.
Yes.
And some chapters might do better than others, and then it's a big headache. So when you keep it small and you focus on the people in your area, your region, and you don't have a brick and mortar, you don't have a paid staff, it's all volunteer based, then you're doing it for the right reason. You're not doing it because you're worried about where's my funding coming from or whatever.
I'm sure they're worried about where their funding is coming from.
I mean, I know
They
Absolutely.
need dollars just like everybody else.
Absolutely.
Well, what I mean by that is paying a staff.
Right.
Yes.
No, I know what you meant. I just
and you get into all the legal stuff
Yes.
of
Right.
having that. And that was one thing when Iowa was starting out is if you did it as a branch of us, then when you start breaking all that down, we got to get lawyers involved, and we have to start paying people that we don't have the money to pay people to do things like
Right.
that. So
Yeah, because then you got to get a bookkeeper.
I'd rather take an extra person on a fishing trip as opposed to paying a lawyer to tell me that, oh yeah, you can emulate this group.
2 extra people on a fishing trip than paying a lawyer.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I was being lenient.
I mean, it's probably 3 by now.
Yeah,
it might be a whole nother fishing trip.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
it could be, yeah.
depending on who you get or what kind of lawyer or what kind of that's
And then
a lot.
And then you got to wonder if they're going to run the organization the same as what
Right.
Kentucky is, right? So if we're the parent company and we set the guidelines and they start deviating from the guidelines, now what do you do? So it's just it's an overall headache to go national with
It'd
something
still
like
be
that.
cool to have your organization be emulated by another group because you already know that there's a desire in Alabama and Florida and Georgia. Like give those people who want to sign up, hey, you can start
And
your own organization.
I've gone to Mississippi on behalf of Kentucky Wounded Heroes to evaluate another organization that wanted to you know, they wanted us to help them start. Right. So I went down there and I'm like, he's already got everything he needs. He's already a 501c. Why am I here? And by the time that they scheduled me to go down and the time that I got there, the guy already decided I'm going to do it no matter what. And I was like, oh, there's no reason for me to be here. And he was doing great things. Right. And it was all fishing, some backwater fishing, some open water, just barely offshore fishing, but yeah, run with it, bro. Gotcha. Yeah. So, I mean, we've had people
in Kentucky that have emulated our stuff.
Yeah.
And
I think it's really cool.
That's kind of flattering. Sometimes it's aggravating because we're trying to get the same money from the same kind of people, but it's flattering that you want to do the same thing we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, imitation's the
highest form of flattery.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
glad she said that.
So, question for you guys. So, let's say I run HomeFront Sitrep here, and I wanted to put on a fishing tournament for Kentucky Wounded Heroes, say in Taylorsville Lake or Rough River, wherever. How would somebody go about getting in contact with you guys and get an event like that set up?
Contact us on the webpage and say, hey, I wanted to run this event for you guys. Is there any way you can spare 8 to 10 guys to come out here, help support the event? Do you have anybody that is willing to speak about the organization and or how the organization has helped them?
And the answer is yes.
The answer is always yes. I mean, we can find guys and girls that live in that area that are more than willing to come out. How many of them will actually open up and speak about what their life experience is and what happened to them is going to be a little bit fewer. But how the organization has affected their life in a positive way, they'll all talk about it, right? Okay. So, I mean, yeah, contact us on the webpage there and tell just that little snippet in the message on what you want, and we are more than happy and willing to provide people. I'm not going to say bodies, people to come out and help you, whether it's weighing fish or measuring fish or counting fish, whatever it may be, because we've done that with Crappie USA.
Nice.
About how long does it take to plan an event like that?
It varies. This one for the Lake Erie trip, it took us 2 weeks to find boat captains that had availability, to find a lodge that had availability. That was it, 2 weeks to check all that stuff. And, we all had to call people that we knew that had contacts up in that area, but they made it happen for us. So 2 weeks it took us to plan a 12-guy trip to Lake Erie, 12-person trip to Lake Erie.
And we do have a lot of the people, a lot of the things that we do. A lot of our fundraising actually that has come through our website. They will get on there. They will find us. Put donate. A thing on there. Hey, I want to have an event. I'm going to have this event at my car dealership. Can you guys come and speak? And we're going to give you X amount of dollars or give you whatever proceeds are there. We've went to things and thinking we're going to get $300 and walk away with $6,000. We've went to things thinking we're going to walk away with $5,000 and get $300. Doesn't matter to us because that's $300 more than we had to start. Yeah, $50 or me and Sam stood there and sold T-shirts and stuff a couple times and made more money selling T-shirts than we did donations. But hey, we'll go for it.
No, I love it, man. I love it. I think my wife is going to step away for a few minutes here. So
she's stepping out, huh?
I'm going to pay the bills real quick, and we'll be right back.
Owner of Talents here, and I just want to say that we are ecstatic to be a major sponsor of HomeFront Sitrep, a community that is ran by veterans and made for veterans. So thank you for tuning in. Talents was formed in order to create a music scene that was together in the form of a collective, so that no one has to do everything on their own. And guess what? We've been doing this for free for for over a year. So please go and check out Talents through Facebook or through our official website at www.talenttalents.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you again for tuning in to HomeFront Sitrep, a veteran-owned and operated podcast just for you.
My name's Rick Ames. I own Louisville Local Entertainment, a company for music shows, promotions, and bookings in the Louisville music scene. As a veteran, it's my honor to support and sponsor local veteran-owned businesses such as HomeFront Sitrep, made by veterans for veterans. So if you're in the music business and need some help booking or promoting a show for free, look me up. Louisville Local Entertainment. And thanks for tuning in to HomeFront Sitrep.
Gear up in style wearing Got Your Six apparel. Every purchase makes a difference. It's more than just clothing, it's a statement of gratitude. Upgrade without breaking the bank. Discover cost-effective, high-quality clothing made in the USA. Each shirt is handcrafted by our team in the great state of Texas and shipped for free to your front door. Got Your Six is where quality meets purpose. We're a small veteran-owned business that takes pride in the mission and the value of our products. Join us in growing a community, supporting our heroes, veterans, and first responders by wearing a custom design.
I thought you'd never ask.
Visit sameflagsameoath.com and use the code TRIPLETHREAT for 10% off. Follow us on all social media platforms for any upcoming releases or events, and you can reach out to us with questions anytime. We are here to support our brothers and sisters.
Hey guys, Mac Verdi here with Veteran Mortgage Solutions. As rates are dropping, home values are going to start to go up. It's time to start looking if you're looking to purchase a home. That being said, we are an all-military veteran loan officer team. We know the ins and outs of the VA home loan. We are considered the experts in this field. Give us a call today. Go to our website, veteranmortgagesolutions.com. Fill out my quick form. I'll give you $500 off for closing costs. Have a great day.
Oh. You're muted.
Sorry about that. My wife had to make a phone call. But yeah, check out talenttalents.com, Louisville Local Entertainment, or you check out my buddy Matt and Becky at sameflagsameoath.com for shirts. And then if you're in the market for buying a home, check out Veteran Mortgage Solutions. Hey, Sam, I'm going to show you something. So speaking of shirts, Same Flag, Same Oath, which has Got Your Six Culture, which is Matt and Becky. They do co-branded shirts.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share our co-branded for HomeFront Sitrep. And the good thing about what they do, so it's Marina Down. It's got the HomeFront Sitrep logo. It's got the Same Flag, Same Oath, which is the corrections, first responder, dispatch. It's got all of those on there, and then it's got the Got Your Six culture with Morse code on the bottom. Now, the good thing about that with Matt and Becky and with their company, if you do a co-branded shirt, anything that is sold from that, so like this shirt here, at the end of the year, they will give me 25% of all sales, and then I get to donate that to a veteran charity of my choice.
Oh, nice.
So like if you guys reach out to Matt and Becky and say, hey, we want to do one for Kentucky Wounded Heroes, they will go with your make it a co-branded shirt, whatever your ideal might be. And at the end of the year, then they would they would give you 25% of all sales, and then that way it would go to Kentucky Wounded Heroes. So if you like this shirt here, the Marine It Down, which is the HomeFront Sitrep one here, I'm going to put the link in chat here in just a second. And
I hear nothing.
You don't hear anything? Can you hear me, Sam?
Yeah, I get you're fine.
He might have to leave and come back. He might have to leave and come back. But I'm putting the link in chat for the Marine It Down. So that way you guys can go out there and order that shirt. And at the end of the year, what I'm going to do with my 25%, I'm going to put a wheel with all these different veteran service organizations out there and do a spin. It's going to be a random draw. So somebody's going to wind up getting whatever that amount of money is. So.
Oh yeah, nice.
Brian, can you hear us now? Can you hear us now, Brian?
I just texted him, said he might have to leave and come back, so he might be signing.
Because we can hear him, he just can't hear us.
Yeah.
Let's see if that works. But no, yeah. So definitely go check out sameflagsameoath.com. They got some great shirts on their website. They got some other co-branded shirts as well.
He was on the Triple Threat, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's Matt. Matt is senior chief. Yes.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the wife had to disappear. She might be coming back down. She had to make a phone call because we had my stepdad's in the hospital. So.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Are you back?
Back.
Awesome. She's back. So yeah, my sister called and his sister called. So welcome back, honey.
Thanks, pal.
We lost Mr. Brian, but he'll be back.
We did. Before he jumps back on, I just, today, March 25th, is National Medal of Honor Day, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say, thank you to all those men and the women that have earned the Medal of Honor through their actions during their military service. Currently today, we have 63 living Medal of Honor recipients. So obviously I want to say thank you to them for everything that they've done for their service, their country, their sacrifices. A lot of those guys, we don't have any World War II veterans left that had earned the medal. I think there's one or two Korea, and the majority are the Vietnam veterans. And, slowly they're passing as well from cancer and some other things, Agent Orange, stuff like that. So, keep all those guys in your thoughts and prayers as, they go through their struggles just like we do.
Oh yeah, definitely. And being a Medal of Honor recipient, it comes with its own headaches as well.
For sure.
Those guys, they went above and beyond. I mean, that's why they're a recipient of the Medal of Honor. Some of them, got shot multiple times and, lost limbs and stuff like that. And, the struggles that they go through, I can only imagine. It's just like, holy cow! And yeah, I wish I'd known that it was the day for them. So yeah, definitely keep them in your prayers. And yeah, for sure. Welcome back, Brian. Did you get your sound figured out?
Well, it was. I had to jump off and jump back on, so I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah, well, whenever sometimes if you're on your phone and you're doing it and you switch between screens, sometimes you'll lose your sound that way. So sometimes you just got to back out and come back in. So welcome back.
It was during the ads and whatever you were showing, it was perfect. And then as soon as you came back on, man, it dead.
Good Tim.
So
it was me. I was muted there for a second, but then I came back.
Okay.
But no, I was explaining about the shirts. I don't know if you heard it. My buddy Matt and Becky out in Texas, they run Got Your Six Culture, which is a shirt company. It's veteran owned, veteran ran, and they do co-branded shirts. And what they're doing, so we have one. I don't know if you've seen it. I'll share it again if you didn't see it.
I saw it. I just didn't hear any of the things that were going on about it. I was trying to read lips, but I couldn't figure it out.
No, you're good. So what they do, they made a shirt for HomeFront Sitrep. The Marine It Down is HomeFront Sitrep. It's a co-branded shirt. All the sales from that shirt at the end of the year, I get 25% of all sales. And what I get to do is I get to give that to a veteran charity of my choice. So what I'm going to do with doing the podcast, I'm going to go in and I'm going to select all the Kentucky ones because I live in Kentucky. I want the money to go to a Kentucky organization. So I'm going to put them on a randomizer on a wheel, and I'm going to spin the wheel, and whoever it lands on is who's going to receive that check. So it could be, it could be $25. It could be $3,000. I don't know. But whatever amount I get is going to go to a charity of random selection. So
in Kentucky.
Yes.
We're about our Kentucky.
Yes. So I was explaining to Sam that if you guys wanted to do that as well, they would make a shirt for Kentucky Wounded Heroes, and it would be a co-branded shirt. That would be another way of like a fundraiser for you guys.
Right.
Because at the end of the year, you would get 25% of that back to you guys.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Are you going to show the shirt?
I did. I've already showed it. Yeah.
I stole this shirt from him.
Trying to get that fan off now.
Trying to get the fan off.
iPad, and I've got a different camera view, and
You're doing good. I like it.
You might send somebody into a seizure though with all that.
I know, right?
Yeah, I tell you, my son, I don't know how anything in here works. I think I just made it faster.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going quicker. That's for sure.
I grabbed a hold of it.
Dee's about to go in seizures over there.
Yeah, I'm good, man. But if my wife came in here and watched it, she would.
I'd hate to cause somebody to have a seizure. There we go.
That's one way to do it.
Yes. Oh, look, there it goes. It's starting back up.
Yep.
I think it stopped. I grabbed a hold of it.
No, it's going again.
Oh, it's going now.
It's picking up.
Whatever. Broke my fingers now.
Oh, dang. Oh, man. But no, before, I know we've been on here almost 2 hours now. Brian, do you got anything else that you want to add to the conversation about Kentucky Wounded Heroes that we haven't touched on already?
Man, we've hit on a lot of things. I mean, we're just trying to make a difference. I mean, that's all I can say is these guys, Sam and the other guys that stepped up as staff, I got put into a role I wasn't expecting. And I'm just trying to run with it, man. I'm trying to help other people that have things going on, because being the type A personality, I hid this stuff for 19 years. Mm-hmm. And when it came out, it was like somebody flipped a switch on. And so I'm probably way more honest now with people than I should be when I start talking about things, but I don't want them to sit and wonder about themselves. Right. And through this group, I've met a lot of people that I've been able to open up to, and because that's what somebody did to me. And just, all it took was, hey man, we care about you. You love on these guys and try to make a relationship, a text every now and then, a phone call. Hey, how's it going? And, with everything else that goes on in life, you forget about reaching out to somebody, and that might be all they need. So this group is, I tell everybody, besides Jesus Christ, my wife and kids, the best thing ever happened to me. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say they saved my life, but they definitely changed my life.
Right.
So, and we're all in it together. And, we strive to be all volunteer, to let everybody know we're all volunteer. We don't take a dime from anything. And any money we raise, I assure you, we're going to spend it on somebody.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's the part I resonate with the most. Like, it's clear that the heart of what you're doing is not to make a dollar, but to, it's weird, not to make a dollar, but to definitely help people. Meet them where they're at and walk alongside them and help them figure out their next step for getting healthy.
Yeah, and we talk about the trips on here. We talk about the fishing. What we didn't talk about are the guys that we help pay their rent every now and then, or put an alternator on their car, or help them find jobs. And in the last 2 years, I mean, there's 3 or 4 guys that we've helped get jobs and helped a couple get cars. And
Well, we sent a tiny home over to
yeah,
Western Kentucky,
so I think
after
we had a
a
tiny
tornado
home
to
in
a veteran.
Shelbyville, and we had it set up and put on a low boy and took it out there after the tornadoes for was it a policeman or was he a veteran or maybe both?
I think he was both.
And took that, so they had somewhere to live. And
Awesome.
it was something we owned. We didn't need it. We had it to go somewhere else. That fell through, and so we got it sent out to Western Kentucky. I mean, our primary focus are these trips and the relationships, but we have guys that we help out with these other things, with the car parts and all that stuff. So, it's kind of one of those things that we don't tell a lot of people about that, but that's something that we are into.
Yeah, definitely. No, I love it. That's awesome. And like I've known Sam for a really, really, really long time, and he was talking.
You don't have to say really, really, really. Come on, man.
Dude, you know how old we are.
I know.
But he was talking to me about your organization, and then I met Rocco, and Rocco was telling me about your organization, and then I started looking at your guys' website and seeing the things that you were doing and posting on Facebook and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, we definitely have to get you guys on. And at the time we were super swamped on scheduling people out, which is a good thing in this line of business anyhow. And I think I reached out to Sam. I was like, hey, I need to get Kentucky Wounded Heroes on, and that's when he made the connection. So I definitely want to say thank you, Sam, for that connection, because the Kentucky Wounded Heroes is everything that when I look for veteran service organizations, you guys fit the mold, because you actually care about the veterans that you're serving, and you even care about the families if needed, if it's a referral. Like if I call you up and say, hey, I got this son or daughter of a fallen hero, and I'm just going to use the word hero because it could be military or first responder. Right. And they're struggling with alcohol addiction or drug addiction as well, or they're just struggling with PTS from their dad, either dad or mom. I'm gonna fix myself there before I get yelled at. Dad or mom, died in the line of service, in line of duty. And that's awesome that you guys will take that person, that whoever it may be, and help them in their journey of recovery. That's awesome that you guys just focus on that, and that's awesome.
Well, and that that's the thing, is the fishing, the hunting, that's just the bonus, right? So
Yeah.
the real reason we do what we do is for that camaraderie, is to help build your network of people that if you're struggling, that you can reach out to one of the staff members or a guy / girl that you met on one of these trips that you share similar circumstances with, that you really, really connected with. And, I found through other organizations that some of these Gold Star families, they might see something in you that they saw or they miss in their loved one that they lost. And they're going to connect with you more than they're going to connect with somebody else. And that gives them another person to connect with if they're struggling as well. And the same thing with the kids, and both of my kids were born after I was injured, but they've also had to live through 30 plus surgeries. And I can't tell you how many hospital stays with me. They've spent more time in the hospital, and they're 17 and 13 now, than most grown adults will ever spend in the hospital, just because they're there visiting me. So they know more about post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury than most adults, because they've heard me speak about it or heard somebody else tell my life events on national TV. And then I get the question, well, why, Dad? Why did you want to do this? And, you got to be honest with them. You can't lie to them about it.
Right.
And so then you start talking to them about it, and like, wow. So my kids, unfortunately and fortunately, know everything I've been through, what I go through, and what I may have to continue to go through surgery-wise. My oldest son, when they were, it was probably about 8 years ago, one of his friends came over and was like, dude, what happened to your dad's leg? He's like, he got blown up. like it's nothing, right? But it's something he grew up with. He understands it. And his other friends like, what do you mean he got blown up? He's like, well, he was in Iraq and, an angry pile of rocks jumped up at him. He got blown up. And then they're like, oh, I'm not going to talk to your dad no more. It's like, that's not why, but, so my kids understand.
Right.
But some of these the kids don't understand why their loved one's not here no more. Their dad, their mom, because they might not be at that age and they've not comprehended of what truly happened to them.
Right.
And that campfire you were talking about earlier, that's the thing we look forward to the most. We look forward to that campfire time. We look forward to just sitting around talking.
Oh yeah, because that's where you build that bond, and that's where the healing takes place. You're out there on the boat. You're on the boat with them all day long. You're out there fishing, or you're in the woods hunting. But once you get around that campfire and you start that adrenaline is starting to come down, and you're building that connection with the person to your left or to your right or to the front of you. I mean, that right there is just so powerful. And I look like when I do events and stuff, that's what I look forward to. When I'm sitting around the fire, just bantering back and forth with the people that I just met, earlier that day, and just, man, there's nothing like it. It's very uncomparable.
You're exactly right.
So, what's up, Mr. Ron Wayne? How are you, sir? So Ron Wayne is, he's got a YouTube channel as well. Super cool cat, man. And he's down his area code 606. I can't remember exactly where he's at. But
so that's southeastern Kentucky.
Yeah, he's a super cool cat. I don't think he's a veteran. He might be. I can't remember. It's been a while. But no, Brian, I want to say thank you for coming on and hanging out with us for this 2 hours. And to learn more about the organization and the people that are running it, you can talk to people and get secondhand knowledge, but it's nothing like getting it from the horse's mouth. And you're up there, you're the VP of the organization, and you guys are doing an amazing thing. So I definitely thank you for coming on here and hanging out with us.
Oh, no problem.
And then Sam, you're my brother from another mother. We'll be brothers until we die. Let's put it
We've
that
been
way.
through the poo,
For
literally.
a really long time. He's no joke.
Hey, I caught myself. I didn't say it that time. You got any closing remarks, Mr. Sam?
Yeah. My live day was 5 days ago. March 20th was the second time I got blown up. And every year I share something on my social media about my experience and what I've gone through and what I've learned through my personal experiences and talking to the guys that I served with is it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to talk about your experiences, your life events. It's okay to have post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injury. What it's not okay is to hold it in, because the demons sometimes will take the best of you. So get it out of your system. I got a really good friend of mine, still in the Marine Corps. I met him after I moved from the infantry to the air wing. He's my oldest son's godfather. And he's like, dude, are the sharks swimming? I'm like, they're getting there. And so he's like, let's just separate ourselves from this situation, calm down. So he understands me now after, we've known each other for a really long time too.
Really long time.
Not really, but a really long time.
Yeah, just a really long time.
Yeah. But you have to understand your triggers. You have to understand yourself. And if you need to remove yourself from a situation that you feel as though is going to trigger you, don't be afraid to remove yourself. It takes courage to come out and admit and talk about your life events and your circumstances.
Yes, sir, definitely. And that's like me. The more I talk about the stuff that I've seen, the stuff that I've done, it's easier. It gets easier, and it'll never eliminate, but it does help minimize. So the more you talk about your situation and the stuff that's going on with you, it will help minimize. It might take you from 12 pills down to 10 pills or 9 pills or 8 pills, just depending on your situation. But definitely you got to get out there and talk about it. And as you see right here, scrolling across the bottom of the screen, ask the next hard question. You got to ask the next hard question. I can walk up to Sam and say, hey, how you doing? He's going to look at me. More likely he's going to say, I'm fine. But then that's when you really got to look at him and say, hey, how are you really doing?
Yep.
Especially on hard days like your Alive Day. I mean, those are hard days, and you just got to remember, or not really remember, but you just got to ask that next hard question. So, definitely. Well,
But, and the hard thing is too, it's not something I think about, but as that date that date approaches every year, my squash takes me right back there. You know, the dreams leading up to and stuff like that, and it's like, man, why is this happening? And then I look at the calendar, it's like, oh.
I experienced the same thing.
Right.
My wife reminds me. She's like,
so I got a lot of guys that I served with that I've reconnected through Facebook that were there that night, and they're like, "You doing all right? You good?" You know, my old CO, I posted something on LinkedIn too, and he made a comment on there, and I read that, and it almost brought me to tears because of what he said. You know, and it's like, man, and he was there. He took pictures of me laying on the table. At the hospital before they took me back to surgery, you know, so he understands what I went through. He was there that night. He felt the concussion back on the base from me getting blown up because it was so severe. You know, and a lot of guys that I served with had commented on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and they're like, dude, just keep fighting the good fight. You know, you're doing the right thing. And, you know, we lost 25 guys between 05 and 06, and, you know, they're not here to live. And, you know, I'm not living for them, but I definitely, their names will never escape my mind. And I try to live and tell their story as much as possible.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, the more you talk about the people that are no longer here, their story will never die.
Exactly.
So as long as their name is coming out of your mouth, their story will never die. And
yeah, I had a gold star father told me, and matter of fact, it's a kid I picked up at SOI and deployed to Haiti with me in 04. He was killed in 05 after I got injured. And he says, you know, people die twice. The first time when they take their last breath, and the last time is when their name's spoken for the last time. And as long as you speak their name, they'll live on forever.
Yeah, definitely. Is it getting you?
Sorry.
No, you're good. She's yeah. No, yeah, you're definitely right, man. It's one of those things that hold on, let me get her a tissue.
I'm okay.
Use the sleeve. That's why you got a washer for.
Well, it's his shirt, so
use the sleeve.
Use the sleeve, right?
Yeah.
No, like you said, it as long as somebody is saying their name, their memory will never die. And speaking of that, we have July 25th through the 30th. I don't know if you guys know, we have the Vietnam Traveling Wall and the Cost of Freedom tribute coming to Shepherdsville, July 25th through the 30th. So if you guys want to come out to that, I would love to have you guys out here. Just so
do you have a pamphlet, a flyer that's electronic?
I do. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, because Brian and I both assist in running our Facebook page and our Instagram page.
Okay.
So we can push it out there too.
Awesome. Yeah.
Because you're the old guys, the tech guys.
We're the tech guys.
The old tech guys.
But no, I'll send it to you, Sam. But yeah, it's July 25th through the 30th. You know, it's going to start on the 24th, so we're going to have an escort from Mount Washington to Shepherdsville. We're looking at roughly about 400 cars right now, with people with motorcycles, and we got the state trooper post out of E-Town coming up. They're going to help with some of their guys that are retired, and it's going to be an amazing sight. It's going to be very humbling as well, because I've seen the wall in DC, but I've seen it in the daytime. And they say at nighttime is when the wall transforms. So I want to see this wall here because it's an 80% replica. So it's just going to be, it's going to be amazing.
I've seen the wall in DC at night, and when I was young, and I will tell you, like,
I go every year.
30 years ago, and it still is impactful. So
when you stand where the two walls, and where the walls come together,
right,
you stand at that point and you look towards the Washington Monument, and then you see that in the thing and you see the reflection. And then when somebody's walking on the walk, you see the shadows walking up the wall. Man, it's very, very moving
You can't
to see
unsee
that.
that.
And
Like, that's not something you can't be an American and not.
Yeah.
And they just finished the Korean War memorial. They've added more to it in the past couple of years, and it's finished now.
Right.
And
I think
it's
they were
it's
starting to update
unbelievable.
the last time we were in DC.
Yeah, that was 2019, wasn't it?
Yep.
I believe.
Yeah. So it's finished, and it's moving as well. I mean, they have all the names of even the South Korean service members that died alongside the U.S. service members, and it's broken down by branch and then broken down by rank and alphabetical by last name, I think. But it's something else. I was there last year, but yeah, we jump into every Navy home game, and anytime I'm out that area, I stop in DC at night. The Disabled American Veterans for Life Memorial is something to see too, as long as the gas is working. They've got a star that they fill with water, and then they put gas on it, and it lights on fire.
Oh
man, that's something else too. And
that'd be pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got
Abe at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's an organization up in DC called the American Freedom Fund. Every year they host their big gala at the end of the year in DC. They also have what they call the Patriot Award. They give it to veteran service organizations. They give it to veteran small businesses. This year they're adding veteran podcast in there. There's a couple other ones. I think I'm going to nominate you guys for veteran service organization for AFF, just to give you a heads up. So we're planning on going to DC at the end of the year for the M3 awards this year, which Don Bramer, I don't know if you know who he is, but he is a Kentucky native. He was born and raised in Kentucky. He's a Navy, former naval intelligence officer. He's a military analyst for your big name CBS and stuff like that. He's also the founder of Bramer's Group, which is a lobbyist for veterans in DC. So I'm definitely going to put Kentucky Wounded Warrior or Kentucky Wounded Heroes, almost a Kentucky Wounded Warriors, but I'm gonna nominate you guys just because I think what you're doing is amazing. So
appreciate it.
But guys, it's been a pleasure having you guys on here. I know you got a life to get back to, and my kids are probably upstairs like, where's the food? Even though my youngest daughter cooked dinner for me tonight. That's pretty cool of her to do. So, but guys, it's been my pleasure to have you guys on. Sam, me and you will have to get together soon. Brian, it was a pleasure meeting you, sir.
I will get up with you. I work in Frankfurt every day, so I'm going to get you contact info from Sam, and we'll get together sometime.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. I'd like to get you and Sam down here to, Louisville or Mount Washington and go out to get a bite to eat and no alcohol. So we'll make it PC friendly there. But guys, thank you guys. Have a great night.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, man,
Appreciate you.
You're welcome. Bye. Baby, I want to say thank you for coming on here and hanging out with me. Sorry that you came to tears. I knew it was going to be impactful.
Because he's cool. He's known you for a really, really, really long time.
Yeah, Sam and I, we go way back. He was one of the first people that I met in boot camp, and we kind of just clicked right from get go. I want to thank everybody that's in chat. That's chatting, Ron and Michael and. Let's see who else. Rich LaMonica from Misfit Nation, Triple Threat Vets that came in here, Candace, and everybody else that came in here and was chit chatting, JR and Brandy and everybody that jumped on and didn't even chat. If you're still watching out there and you didn't chat, thank you for coming on here and hanging out with us for this 2 hours. Go check out Kentucky Wounded Heroes. I'll put their website back up here at the bottom of the screen. KentuckyWoundedHeroes.net. Go check it out. If you want to volunteer, if you want to donate, you can go to their website. Everything's on there. You just got to go click on it. their money, 100% of their money goes back into the organization, to the programs, to take veterans on fishing trips to Alaska, to take veterans hunting in Kentucky or fishing in Kentucky, or to Massachusetts, wherever they go for these events.
New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey for shark fishing. So if you want to donate to them, go to their website, donate. If you want to volunteer, go to contact and fill out the information there and volunteer. You will have to, if you want to be in. If you want to go to one of the events, you got to go on. You got to register. They're going to ask you, what's your rating for, if your disability rating for the VA is over 50. So yeah, definitely go check them out, guys. They do an amazing thing. And like I say, always, Michael says that I need to do a shirt with this here. Ask the next hard question, and he's probably right. We probably do need
probably a good one.
Yeah, I think it would be a good one. Have it, on the back. Ask the next hard question or something like that.
Like
If you're a veteran, first responder, and you're in crisis, you don't even have to be a veteran. You could be the spouse of a veteran, the daughter of a veteran. Reach out to 988, push 1 if you're a veteran. Those guys there, they're 24/7. They will definitely take care of you. One veteran at a time. Definitely one veteran at a time, one human at a time. You got to be safe. You got to ask that next hard question. If I say one veteran a day, I did my job. If I reach one veteran a day, I did my job. So guys, you got to do what needs to be done to be great humans out there. But like I always say, stay safe out there, and I got your 6. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.